I've obviously made numerous videos in the past about saving money, but starting off the new year, I just wanted to share some things I'm trying or planning on trying to help me save more money in the coming months. And the points I'm going to share today are ones I've either never covered before or covered on a very surface level. Of course, when it comes to money, I only ever just share what I do and what works for me, so please take that into consideration and tailor any tips to your lifestyle and generally what makes more sense for you. Here's how I'm saving more money every month. But first, if you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. Here we talk about minimalism, frugal living, tech, and things of that nature. So if that sounds good to you and you end up liking the video, be sure to like and please poke a hole in the subscribe button's EVA suit. Let's get started. Make the affordable option the convenient one. If I think about my own spending habits, delivery, food, and digital media is almost always the more convenient option, but with a higher price tag. Recently, I've been trying to see if there's any areas of spending where it can have the convenient option also be the more affordable one. And a simple example, once again, is just having a water filter in the house. It's convenient because it's always available at home and saves money in the long run by not having to make the water purchase during every trip out of the house. Another example, and yes, a food-related one, is meal prepping. Admittedly, a huge time sink at first, it'll almost always be more affordable than ordering takeout, and once done, have the convenience of just being in the fridge whenever you're ready to have it. Each one of our opinions of what's worth the cost of convenience will vary greatly, but I'm sure there's at least one area where the affordable option can also be the convenient one. Try a no-spend challenge. Funny enough, I've actually never tried a strict no-spend challenge, and I suppose it's because I never wanted to 100% completely restrict myself from spending. But after trying it for small periods, I'm noticing it's much easier than I initially thought. Whenever I heard the no-spend challenge, I always imagined weeks or even entire months without spending unnecessarily. And maybe that is in fact possible for some people. But what I've done is trying to do short periods of zero spending, like a couple of days or a weekend, because at least at first it is much more doable. And while I thought it might be impossible, I noticed that most of the things I was buying during those days weren't the essentials, because most of the essentials were already at home. And anything that I needed for my work or entertainment was somewhere already in my ownership. I recommend trying a no-spend period of just a few days to see if there are any areas where you can cut back and ultimately save. This video is sponsored by Epidemic Sound. Sound, and music specifically, is very important to the videos that I make. I've always wanted my videos to feel like I'm explaining something to a friend, even if they're just being listened to in the background. All of the pizzicato and classical music that I use is very much done with intention, in the attempt to sort of feel like an amateur Wes Anderson movie. And Epidemic Sound has made that possible with the restriction-free music they provide me. They have a huge library of music that can cover any theme I'm going for. Even if I just want to use a specific part of a song, it can easily be selected and automatically looped and then downloaded for use. And you're even able to paste a Spotify link where it'll recommend tracks based on the song that is pasted. I highly recommend checking out Epidemic Sound regardless of where you are in your filmmaking or content creation journey. I'm going to have a link to Epidemic Sound in the description box if you're interested. Check out the link to soundtrack your content now with Epidemic Sound. Thanks again to Epidemic Sound for sponsoring this video. Use a cash-only system. Using cash exclusively is not something I do on a regular basis, nor have I actually even done it for an extended period. I do prefer using cards because, fortunately, I am able to pay them off before getting charged with interest. But there have absolutely been times in my life where I was more in a pinch and did in fact limit myself to using cash exclusively. And I did notice it was much easier to keep track of spending this way. And I think a huge part of that is because spending wasn't spread across several accounts or credit cards, but kept only to the cash that was on my person in my wallet. And I have this point on a list about saving money every month because I feel like doing this for just 1 month is almost a perfect time frame to see if this is something that would be effective for you. Because once again, speaking for myself, most purchases that I make on a regular basis or semi-regular basis are typically done at least once in a month. I would recommend keeping a specific dollar amount on your person to be used for expenses for the duration of a month and see where spending is happening and saving might be possible. Have a more strict routine. In general, I'm not sure it's mentioned enough how much having a routine can help save money. I know that for myself, spontaneous purchases were the things I wanted to cut back on the most every single month. And most of the times when I was making those spontaneous purchases, it was just periods of my life where I didn't have a strict routine set, like dinner, for example. If I knew what I was going to cook and eat later in the day, it would almost always stop me from calling in an order for pickup. And part of that routine I stuck to was doing something as simple as consolidating my errands throughout the day. Because once again, this stopped me from doing anything spontaneous in regards to spending, which was my main problem. And this doesn't mean I'm an absolute stickler and I'll never spend money spontaneously every once in a while. But I think the most important takeaway from this is to, at the very least, have a loose routine that stops the most expensive or frequent purchases. Pay bills annually if possible. And I understand this is highly niche because it's not always an option. But you may or may not be surprised to learn that a lot of expenses can be paid for in advance, sometimes with a discount. Obviously, this isn't something all of us are able to do, but if you are fortunate enough to be in a position to do this, I would highly recommend it. And an easy example to share is with my car insurance. Every 6 months when I get my new 6-month premium, it'll show the total cost of what I'll have to pay over the 6 months. And then that total cost is divided into 6 months, one payment for each month. But if I look closely at that renewal policy when it comes in, I'll typically see the option to pay for the policy in full, which is typically a 5 to 10% discount, and in my case, $100. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, this isn't possible with things like rent or electricity, but I've had luck with very specific things like YouTube Premium. And as a matter of fact, I think it's possible with most subscription services, if there are any that you just can't live without or you treat yourself to. Make use of job benefits and perks. I feel like even the jobs you wouldn't expect to have some sort of perks or benefits sometimes do. And honestly, the best health insurance I've ever had actually came from when I was working at the grocery store part-time, I might add. The insurance itself was great, and it even came with a gym membership, which cut that cost out of my monthly expenses. But even the smallest perks can be considered when talking about monthly expenses. One of my favorite jobs I've ever had was actually working at a golf course, which came with free golf whenever I wanted. Of course, this would have been a huge benefit if I actually liked to golf, but I digress. Discounts, access to resources, and even free coffee every morning when I get to work are all of the things I'd consider a workplace benefit, and in the right context, can save money every month. As a matter of fact, my current job offers free tickets to local events all the time. I just have yet to take advantage of that. Even if you don't think there are any, I highly recommend looking into your job benefits to see if there's anything that may be worthwhile. These are just a few of the things that I've been doing or am going to try to do to save more money every single month. I'm obviously no expert with money, but I hope at least one or two of these things can be implemented into your life where they make the most sense. Anyways, as always, I appreciate the time you spent here and I appreciate you watching. If you did like this video and you like this type of content, be sure to like and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.